Welcome to Behind Closed Books, the podcast where business owners and experts reveal the financial decisions that shape their success. Each episode brings you unscripted stories of turning points, hard calls, and the numbers that changed everything to pivot, recover, and grow. If you're building a business and ready to think differently about profit, pressure, and progress, behind every smart decision is a story worth telling. This is the show. Here is your host, Craig Sheets.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Behind Closed Books. My next guest today is Sarah. She has some really good insight, I think, for the business owners, much different than we've done in the past. But let me talk a little bit about Sarah first and her background, and then we'll get into some really good topics today. So she graduated from Anderson University with a BA and Indiana University with a Master's of Social Work, with the deck stacked against her coming from the foster care system. She obtained a scholarship from the 21st Century Scholarship Program for kids that would otherwise not have had a chance to go to college. I'm really excited to kind of learn more about that and where that's taken her from. She's currently licensed as a social clinical worker, specializing in trauma therapy for teenagers and older adults. She loves to play video games and traveling, live music, and festivals with her husband, Sean. With that, please welcome my next guest, Sarah Kraft.
Thank you.
I am so excited to have you on this. There's so many topics that business owners just don't think about and don't really think are applicable to the business world, but they really are. And mental health, I think, is a big topic. I'm excited to talk to you about that.
Absolutely.
Let me think. So what can we talk about today? I mean, there's so many different things we can talk about. We can talk about what triggers business owners and employees to look out for that may lead them into becoming overly stressed. Why don't we just start right there? I mean, what are some things that business owners, not so much once they're there, but maybe leading up to what can cause them to get overstressed, especially during tax season?
Yeah, right. I think you're alluding to burnout. Is that what we're kind of going towards?
I mean, it got to be a way of burnout. I think it's a way that, that business owners will see things after the fact and they're yelling at their employees or taking their stress home with them. And I guess, no, I mean, burnout, I'm thinking more just generically on a day-to-day basis, what after the fact they're there, but what can they see? Like, geez, I'm getting really stressed. And what are some things that maybe you can look for visually on the way up the stress ladder rather than waiting till you're at a 10, maybe what looks like a 2 or a 3 or a 6?
Yeah, I would say what you just described was definitely a 10. If you're yelling at your employees, we are at a 10, honey. We need to address that immediately. Let's not yell at our employees. You might have some really good ones if you do that. So I think what's really important is learning how to compartmentalize. So when you are in the workplace, that's the time to be professional. That's the time to be respectful. In fact, I would say you need to be respectful in all aspects of life, but especially in the work environment. So again, learning how to compartmentalize and, be professional, be respectful, listen to your employees because they're the ones running this thing. And I'm sure they have a lot of really great feedback. So I think it's very important for business owners to listen and entertain that feedback instead of getting defensive and, well, no, I want to do it this way or that way. So really important to open your ears and listen to the folks that are working for you because they have a lot of input. Absolutely. If you do notice yourself getting escalated, you need to get up and step away. Maybe you need to take a vacation. Maybe you need to take some time off. I would say, as somebody that's been in the workforce for over 20 years, I feel it. Like when there's moments where I'm suffering from brain fog or I'm getting really frustrated, defensive, all those nasty words, those hard emotions, that is my cue where it's like, okay, Sarah, time for a break. It's time for a mental break. And so that's, usually when I will either walk away from the computer if it's a short-term thing or when I'm starting to plan my next vacation. So
Things like brain fog are things that would be like a sign that you're getting stressed out, or maybe you're not getting to a 10, somewhere in the 2 to the 6, platform. That brain fog could be something that can cause what later on you to get more anxious and frustrated and quick tempered, or just basically all
Brain
around.
fog can be caused by a number of different things. I would say, I mean, if anybody out there that's listening that has a chronic condition, you probably know what brain fog is because that goes right along with it. But also it can be caused by stress and things like that too. So if you're having a hard time getting your words and you're really, what is it I'm trying to say? That is brain fog. And what that is again, you need to pay attention to your body, but also that mental health, there is a correlation between the two. And I don't think everybody realizes that, but there is a correlation between the two. Absolutely.
That makes perfect sense. And sensing that before it becomes a bigger issue, to know to walk away or to relax or meditate, breathe deeply, kind of can lead that could be a 6, bring it back down to a 0 or a 2 again.
I think a big thing is if you're doing remote work, which is what I do, is getting away from the screen. We are not made to be in front of a screen for 8 hours or however long we're working. That is not how humans are created. So I think it's very important that we get up, we're moving around, we're going outside, we're getting some fresh air, the sun, all of those things. We're made for those things. So it's important that we prioritize that and make sure that we're getting out and getting some fresh air too.
Interesting. So in a way, it's this form of self-soothing in some ways as well, to kind of go out there and maybe take a walk by yourself or,
Self-care. Self
okay. What would be a self-soothing technique, which would be different than self-care? Maybe explain what self-care is different than self-soothing, if they are different. Maybe that's my fault for blending the two together.
I don't know. An example of self-soothing, I would be like, if you like, one of these things where if you like really enjoy, like, oh, this feels nice, that kind of thing, like playing with your hair or something, that's self-soothing. Whereas with self-care, it's more of, for instance, you brought up in the beginning of the video that I am a gamer. Yes, I am. I have been gaming. I have been gaming since the original NES in the 80s. Yes, yes. And I still play. Um, that is self-care. That's self-care for me because it's my way of kind of like, okay, the real world is insane and crazy, but let me get in here and go, into this other world and have some fun for a little bit. That for me is self-care. Another version of that would be going to the doctor. That is self-care. Going and getting a massage, going on a vacation, going to the pool, doing things that you enjoy. All of those are examples of self-care.
That makes sense. And you mentioned earlier taking a walk if you like to be in nature, or you said, as human beings, we need to be outside. I'm staring outside at the sunshine right now. What a beautiful day it is in Florida. But being out there would be a lot more relaxing than being locked inside of a house for 12 hours because it's outdoors, fresh air and everything.
Yeah, I promise you after this, I'm going to go outside and self-soothe by sitting on my patio and looking at the birds. I have a little bird feeder outside my office here, and I'm going to go watch some birds for a little bit. It's a grounding thing. It's a self-soothing, grounding, all those things.
That's great. Yeah, that's great. I've seen the new ones now where they have like these videos and it has like the camera right inside the bird feeder. And you see the bird like hacking away at the stuff. And you're like, oh my God, that's so funny. It's There's a route you're eating the bird feed. You can see the face like right there staring.
It was actually one of my clients that gave me the idea. They were talking about how much they enjoyed watching birds, and I'm like, "That sounds fun." So, Amazon got my little bird feeder, and now anytime I'm in between sessions and I just wanna kinda glance over and look at the birds, I can. It's great.
Oh, that's really cool. We have an opposite thing. We have a bird cage, which in Florida we call basically a screen around the patio. And we have the birds that land on there are birds of prey. So I'm looking up there, it's like a hawk or a whatever, and it's staring at a fish, and all of a sudden it goes swooping down and grabs a fish, and I'm like, oh, that's a different way to watch bird watching. That's for that poor little fishy, but he,
The circle of life. Yeah.
it's a circle of life moments. It's entertaining, but you're like, I feel bad for that fish, but that bird's really happy.
Yeah, yeah. Circle of life, it's nature.
You thinking the circle of life. So I guess we can maybe take one more step back and then just talk about the kinds of maybe patients you deal with. I assume you see obviously individuals, but do you see business owners? I mean, can you come in and say, look, I'm stressed out at work, or does it have to be like I have a home therapy issue only with my wife? Like, is it acceptable to come in and say, look, I'm stressed out at work and these are things that upset me? Is it okay to make that a therapy type of a topic or a session to do that?
Oh my goodness. I'll talk to anybody that will come and talk to me. Yeah. No matter color, race, or creed. If you want to meet with me, I'm more than happy to meet with you. I've had people from all over the gamut. I've got folks that are dealing with homeless situations and stable housing, and then I've got people who are doctors, lawyers. It's a vast array of people. But what I do in my practice, and always just in general, is I treat all people with dignity and respect, no matter where you come from. And so doors open. Doors open.
I think business owners think, well, geez, I can only go to therapy if I'm having a problem with my wife or the kids or something personal. But like you said, it could be a business thing. Well, in work, I get stressed out when these things happen, triggers me to get angry, or I withdraw, or
This is a good point you're making. So, I actually went to see my therapist when I was struggling in the insurance company that I was working with before I opened my practice. I was having a really hard time with some of the changes that were happening and the direction of my career and things like that. So I went and spoke to my therapist, and she goes, "Sarah, why are you not going into your own business? You've got it, honey. Just go." And I'm just like, "I'm scared. I'm terrified." And luckily, I have a really great supportive husband that was there to go, "All right, Sarah, you got this. You got this." But let me tell you, to make that transition from corporate world into running my own practice was terrifying. I'm not even, yeah, it was a lot of anxiety, but we made it. I've been in practice now for 4 years. I absolutely love it. I was made for this, and I'm so glad that I made the decision that I made. Yeah.
yeah, you did. I remember working with you and some of the stuff, getting you transitioned over. And I think in some way, in a very opposite way, but some ways I become not therapeutic, but in a way counseling, we'll just say, from a business owner's perspective, or someone going into business, or someone new to the business world, or someone who's been there and is kind of lost on, I don't know what to do next. They come frantic, they come distressed, they're like, I don't know what to do. I see it and I'm like, yeah, I can help with this. I feel, wow, I feel like I can help somebody today. And they come in all, wow. And I look at their, haven't filed their taxes in blank number of years, or they're still a Schedule C self-employed when they should be an entity. And then I take it and say, look, here's a way I can handle it. And I turn into like a, a business tax therapist. That's a bad description.
And thank God for you, because I was totally lost as far as the numbers aspect. I'm a social worker, and I just do feelings and emotions. I am not a numbers girl. I remember sitting in grad school, and they made us take statistics. And the professor called on me and asked me a question on something in statistics. And I literally said in front of the whole class, I said, "Look, I am a social work major. Please don't call on me. I don't know what's going on." The whole class erupted. But I was honest. I was like, "I'm just here because I have to be. Let's just get through this." So
I'm feeling my feelings right now.
I made it out with a C, y'all. I made it out with a C.
I'll take the ski as an A for me in statistics. I'll take it any day of the week. Oh my
I aced all my other classes, but don't throw me in a math class. It's not my gift.
Yeah, and I think that's where sometimes I feel like, oh my gosh, I'm like a tennis or tax. I call myself a tax Sherpa as a joke. Like I'm leading you up a hill, but I have a purpose and I'm calming you down. I've had so many clients call in so upset and frustrated, and some have cried. And I'm like, look, it's okay. I got you. And I just use reassuring words. Is that a good way to do it? Or what's a good way to calm somebody down?
Yes, that just giving us affirmations and "I gotcha, don't worry about it." Because, again, when you're making this huge leap from one world into another, it's terrifying. It's very intimidating. So I knew that you knew your stuff. And so that made me very confident in your abilities. And so I just kept telling myself, "Craig's got it. Craig's got it. You're all right." So
And that makes me feel to think, boy, I wonder how many people I've helped over the years doing this 28 years now. I wonder if there's other stories, people saying I was stressed before I saw Craig and I felt better afterwards. But I, I then, then take that as a personal journey for this person to say, right, I'm going to make sure this person makes it to and there's really no end when it comes to tax and accounting. It's just a journey because you got to file every year and make sure you do things. And it's interesting. So you're doing it more from an emotional standpoint, which is really a gift from, I mean, that's amazing that someone can experience that gift working with you and you helping them through whatever the issues are. I mean, like you said, it varies for therapy. I think that's the stigma people put around it as well. It's just home, or it's just marriage and kids. And that's a really good point you made. It could be for anything.
Anything. I'll meet you where you are. My job is to provide a safe, comfortable space for you to be exactly who you are, judgment free, and that's exactly what you get. Yes.
I like what you said, though. Meet you where you are. That's a really good way to put it. That's interesting because it's no judgment. It's just where you are. There's no anything like that. There's a show
I've got people that show up on camera in their PJs. I don't care. I don't care. I'm glad you're here, you know? Like I'm just glad you're here. So, come as you are.
I started watching a show. What was it called? Shrinking on Apple TV. Have you ever heard of it?
I love that show. Mhm.
Oh my God, it's great. And it makes me laugh. Some of the things he does are so inappropriate at the time, but later on you're like, actually,
Right? I am not an exposure therapist like Jason Segal's character. Like he's a little much. Like he actually goes in the field with his clients. I'm not that.
that's a little bit much. I'm like, the show, hey, Craig, you got this. We do.
I am more of a Harrison Ford speed, actually. I actually really relate to his character the most of the three of them. And I'm like, yeah, I'm more Harrison, I think. A little snarky, but I'm gonna challenge you, but you're gonna go grow from it too. So yeah.
And that's it. I think that's what people can experience, I guess. So from your point of view, is there anything that you can think that people should, I know there's nothing to prepare, but before they go to therapy, is there things that you can think like, well, geez, they should write something down, or they should have like bullet points, or coming into therapy, as you said, meet you where you are. Is there anything they can do to prepare?
Yeah, that's such a good thank you. Thank you for asking that question. Okay, for anybody that's looking for a therapist, what I highly recommend is that you book consultations. Don't just pick somebody you saw off the internet and just go with it because you don't know what their vibe is until you actually talk to them. So it's really about feeling out that person. Does this person make me feel comfortable? Does this person seem intelligent enough to deal with what I'm dealing with? Because if you don't vibe, then what are we doing? You need to have that safe and secure relationship with your therapist. And if you don't have it, honey, move on. It's okay. Like I want you to, because it's not about me and it's not about the other therapists out here. It's about you and your journey and your healing. So always book a consultation first. Yes.
Yeah, I think what people do is they go on like Psychology Today website and say, okay, well, these are the therapists in the area. Number one, I have to be regional. I have to see somebody in the area I live in, number one. And then they have a best rating. I have to go with that person. But maybe that's not the best person. Maybe it's somebody out in Tampa or California, New York. And nowadays, I'm going to say it's going to sound weird, but you can see therapists in other states when you do virtual, correct? Is that
Yeah, I am licensed in 4 states. Yes. I live in Florida, but I see folks. I am licensed in Florida, Indiana, which is my home state. Go Hoosiers.
oh, they just won. Didn't they in basketball, I think? Didn't they just win the
Okay, did you all watch that? Oh my God. IU football, we don't ever win. We don't ever win. We just took the whole thing. Amazing, amazing. Okay, so go Hoosiers.
So basically, what you do is you want to go into like a Psychology Today or someplace that has like a list of therapists, and then say, right, we are specializing in business trauma or childhood trauma or whatever it is you're dealing with, and they're licensed in my state, even though we're a New York therapist, they're licensed in Florida, or a Florida therapist licensed in Indiana. So okay, that makes sense. And then, is there a preparation they should do, like before they meet with the person? Should they ask them questions, or is it more about how you vibe with somebody when you first meet them? What's a good like way to feel out a new therapist when you first meet them?
Sure. I've had questions about, well, what modalities do you use? So, which is a great question. I'm impressed. Like, I've had a handful of people ask me that, and I'm like,
That's beyond my base. What is that? I don't know what that is.
who taught you that? I love that. So, like,
What is a modality? That's a new one.
right? I'm like, oh, okay. This is not new to you. So asking about what modalities they practice is a really good one. But also, I think really telling your story a little bit, not all of it, but just a glimpse of it to get an idea of, okay, well, now let's hear the therapist's response to that. We're not going to go into therapy during a consultation. So just be aware of that. But we can confidently, well, the therapist that you vibe with is going to be able to go, all right, honey, I gotcha, and really make you feel comfortable during that consultation. So again, it's really about giving a glimpse of your story and what it is that you're looking for. And then also just really listening to the therapist, picking up on their mannerisms, how they speak, all those things. And again, you're looking for that person that really seems to hear you and makes you feel comfortable.
You feel judged by the end, and you feel kind of closed off. That's probably not a good sign for finding.
At all.
You're like, I left more stressed out than I began. You're like, that might not be the right person.
If that's happening, oh, no, I hope that's not happening out there. Oh gosh.
No, but it's good to know that you prepare ahead of time. Did you say modality? Is that a new word I've never heard of before?
Well, I'm familiar with it. I was surprised that the clients were familiar with it. I mean, that's therapist speak over there. So the fact that I've had a few people ask me that, I'm like, oh, okay. So I do use 4 modalities. I'll just share it real quick since we're on the topic. I use the gold standard, which is CBT, also known as cognitive behavioral therapy. That is the most evidence based practice. And so, therefore, that is my primary modality that I use. I'm also a relational therapist because I work with a lot of trauma clients. I too have been through trauma. And so, sometimes when I see value in adding a little bit of my story to the narrative, it just makes for a deeper connection with my client and helps them see that I get it too. I get it. So sometimes I will share a little bit of my story. That's relational therapy. I also do psychodynamic therapy. That's the third modality. What we do there is that's when we're going back and looking in the past to understand the why. Why am I so depressed? Why do I feel this way? Why am I so irritable? Why am I so anxious? Why am I just ready to pop off that as soon as somebody says something I don't like? So that's what the psychodynamic is we're going to go back and we're going to try and figure that out and give you the why so that you can understand a little bit more about who you are and why you are that way. And then the fourth modality I use is grief therapy. I lost somebody very important to me when I was 20 years old. And I took that and applied it into my career by working for hospice for several years as a grief counselor. So I also feel very comfortable working for folks that are dealing with grief issues. And those are my 4 modalities.
Wow, that's so interesting. So each therapist will have their own little Swiss Army knives of modality.
You got it. You got it. There's people out there that want DBT. There's some that want EMDR. Um, ERP is another one. Yeah.
EMDR is that big with ADHD and the things like.
EMDR is trauma.
Oh, it's trauma. Okay, I got the two mixed up. Sorry, I thought that was ADHD. Right. There's so many things. I think behind the scenes, as long as kind of like you say with me, as long as you know you can feel confident in me, I'm going to lead you the right way. I think with a therapist, you have to just trust that you feel confident with them and comfortable, and they're helping you. What modality they use is probably relevant-ish, but I think it's more make you feel. And are you getting progress out of it? Are you feeling more clarity and acting however?
And I'll say something to that effect really quick, if you don't mind. When I was growing up in foster care, I had to go to therapy. That was part of a prerequisite for being in the type of foster care system that I was in. And one of the challenges that I had when I was younger is that the, we just sat there and they would just wait for me to lead the session. I'm a teenager, so I'm like, first of all, I don't even want to be here right now, right? Because you're a teenager, like you're resistant. Like, why am I even here? And so what I lacked is exactly what I put in when I became a therapist myself. So what I really wanted was somebody to challenge me and help me grow. So that's what I do in my sessions. I became the therapist that I needed, basically.
Wow, and that can be good for people getting that bringing them out of their shell or their comfort zone a little bit so they can grow.
Yeah, why are we here if we're not here to grow and heal, right? So
100%. 100%. And then on the opposite end of this, now I'm going to ask about it. We talked about it earlier, but what is burnout and can you see it ahead of time? And once you're there, what can you do? I guess just the topic of burnout. What can you prevent it and what can you do to see it coming on or whatever the topic relates more what you can talk about. I'm just talking about burnout.
you're at burnout if you're apathetic and you're just like, F it, I don't want to. You're just showing up to show up.
That's another people's problem. I ain't got no tax problem. Whatever, you're done. I don't care about your.
But, like, if you get to that point of apathy and you're just like, "I'm here for a paycheck and that's it," and you've lost that compassion to really do the work, you're in burnout. If you're crying, if you're coming to work and you're crying, that's burnout. And so if you're feeling those strong emotions, that would be time for you to look and decide, is this job really where I'm supposed to be? If you wanna try and work through it, I would absolutely suggest that you speak to a therapist or, like I said, reflect on it and go, is this really where I'm supposed to be? Maybe this is that moment for you to make a move. So really attention. So what I teach in my sessions is really pay attention to that nervous system, because if you're starting to tense up, if you're crying, if you're upset, if you just don't care anymore, all of those things are basically an SOS. Your body is telling you something's off. So you got to listen to that. Otherwise, it's just going to continue to get worse and worse and worse. And now we're looking at inpatient. We don't want you to get that far, right? So no. So the idea is speak to a therapist, or if you feel like you can handle it on your own, I would say it's time to start looking for other options, because this place is not it's just not it for you. Not if you're feeling like that.
I can think of a story when I was, and this might relate to you more, your situation with Sean, is I remember I taught tennis for, gosh, I think it had been 18 years. I did it when I first started well, actually I did it before I started my business. And then as I started my business, I'm like, yeah, this is my kind of my supplement as I started up to the business. And I remember towards the end, maybe the last year or two, because we're in Florida, it rains a lot in the summer, as you know, most people up around it know. If not, it rains a lot in Florida in the summertime. And I remember there was 2 years, or at least a year, it would rain and I'd be happy. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, I'm not teaching tennis. It's raining out. I used to love to teach. This is not a good. I remember my head going, something's wrong. SOS, SOS. I don't know. I'll just pretend I said SOS, but my head definitely said something's not right. I shouldn't feel excited when it rains. And I'm like, this is a sign. And I think a year, maybe I went by another year and I stopped teaching. And it was like, oh, I feel better.
That is such a great example of burnout. That you got it. That's what that was.
That was okay. So that was burnout. All right. I was like, this, some warning, something doesn't feel right.
Yeah, that's what that is. Mhm.
Good. Yeah. So burnout, and I think what people want to realize is when it happens to them, there's no judgment. You just got to make a different direction, make a choice if you want to work through it, like you said, or if you want to, talk to it. Really, remember, you should talk to a therapist or a professional, because they can maybe help you be that catalyst to start the business, or be the catalyst to change jobs and different.
We're there as a guide to kind of help, because you're hearing me kind of explain what burnout is. But if you don't know what burnout is, it would be really nice to connect with somebody that can give you fine examples of it and look at your own situation and go, honey, that's burnout. Because sometimes we can't get to that conclusion ourselves. So having that person, that outside perspective to really look at things for what they are and go, well, this is what this is. Now, what are we going to do about it? And just help guide you through that transition is everything for some people. It was for me. I would not have gone into business had I not talked to my therapist. And she said, well, you're ready, go. So to get that push from her is what really led me to go, all right, we're doing this. Here we go.
Back full circle with a bird analogy. She pushed you out of the nest in a way.
She sure did, and I'm so grateful for it. I'm grateful for you and helping me get this thing off the ground. It's just I had a number of really amazing people in my life, including my husband, that pushed me to do what I'm doing now, and I'm so very grateful.
And you're there to help other people, and you're needed, and it's so great for what you're doing, and that's amazing work. It helps so many people, and I think business owners get confused, thinking, well, this therapy is not for me. I think you mentioned that, and definitely different aspects of it, even through burnout. That absolutely, as you said, and I love the way you said it. I'll meet you where you are. That's a great way to put it. Meet you where you are, whether it's business or otherwise. Is there any trends or latest trends? And I know it may be a weird thing in therapy, but is there a trend in the industry right now in therapy?
Ugh, I don't know. I guess I would. Well,
D, what's the stuff you eat? The gummy, what's the gummy thing? There's so many CBs you said earlier. The CB.
oh, okay, you're going with all the acronyms. Okay, so I don't know if it I don't know if it's a trend or not. I see it as an amazing progression in my field. But basically, I graduated from my master's degree in 2004. I know that's going to tell you my age a little bit, but okay. So I've been doing this for a while. I've been doing this for a while. But one of the things that I thought was untouchable was actually having my own practice. And the reason for that is social workers are not known for making a whole lot of money. We don't, guys. We just don't. But we love what we do. This is my calling and what I'm supposed to do. But to get a place and pay all the overhead and all the things that are required for having your own office was just not attainable. Then the pandemic happened. Now we're all on Zoom. I was like, oh my God, we have an opportunity here. And so once I realized that a lot of the therapists were going online, now I'm looking at this like, wait a minute, this is something I can do. I can actually have my own practice now because I don't have all those overhead costs. So because of the pandemic, I am able to do what I do in the capacity of owning my own business and being a solo practitioner. And it's incredible. I don't know if you call that a trend, but
No,
I
that
am.
will be a trend. Yeah, you're right. Because I remember when people done therapy say, "Well, my therapist doesn't think online therapy." This is going way back. Online therapy, good, it doesn't work.
It absolutely does. I mean, I can connect with people over the phone because before I went into practice, I was working for an insurance company that covered people with severe mental illness. And I was making fantastic connections with those folks, and they could not see me. It was just a phone call. So, yes, you can still connect even if you can't be in the room with them. So, the other beautiful thing about being remote is that I am licensed in 4 states, which means I can reach anybody in those 4 states. It's not just in my region, it's everybody in that state. So, it's better access for the client, right? Because you alluded to that earlier in the sense that you don't have to just stick to your region. So, if you're in Orlando or in Tampa or Miami or whatever, you can be seeing somebody that's up in Jacksonville. They're licensed in the state. So, and I think that's a fantastic thing. It just opens it up more so that there's a lot more personalities. There's a lot more folks out there that are going to hopefully match what you're looking for.
Right, and that gets great, like you said too. Talk to somebody, feel it is just because you said on paper they're perfect score on whatever, and they are in my region doesn't mean they're the right person. You could find somebody else in a different region, or keep trying until you feel like the right fit.
Exactly. Exactly. So again, don't know if that's a trend, but for me, it's very exciting and it certainly creates more access to care and I'm here for it. I love it. I think it's great.
That's awesome. It's not telehealth, is it? But is that the word? It wouldn't be telehealth.
It's telehealth. Yep. That's what it is.
Fancy word. I can come up with a fancy word. Telehealth. What's the one where they do the? Isn't there something they do hand gestures, like some kind of like a hand thing or something like that, or lights, where they do like some kind of therapy with lights or hand gestures?
There's a tapping method. I know of that one. I don't do that. There's all kinds. Yeah.
Magic light that makes you feel better. No. So really, when it comes to mental health, I think there's the stigma people need to take away to say, well, there's something wrong with me inherently. I'm not a good person. I go to therapy. And I think it's plainly the opposite. Is if you have the courage to go, it shows that you are healthy enough to go and have it.
I want to say something to that. Guess what, everybody? We all have something. I'm sorry. We all have something. We do. You're either anxious, you got ADHD, you got depression, maybe you've got trauma, but there's a very small amount of people that just go through life without anything whatsoever. Stress it is enough for you to be seeing a therapist. We all have something. So here's the thing is I'm not going to I'm not the type of person that likes to go ahead and just label people. I am going to be very careful and when I am in the process of diagnosing, but I am not the type that's going to push meds. So I don't even prescribe meds. If I feel like med management is a good idea, I'm going to suggest it, but I always give the autonomy back to my client. If you're comfortable seeing a psychiatrist, great. If you're not, that's fine. We'll just keep moving it in a therapeutic direction. So, but we all have something, I promise.
No, I know that's just it. You're right. Hate that stigma. We all got something. Just let it go and
That's the reality.
let it be. It is what it is. Don't fight it. Accept it and move forward and get some help. Even even if it's people think, oh geez, if I go to see a therapist, people are gonna think I'm weird or something wrong with me. It's like, no, I think the opposite. People think that you're a healthy, balanced person because you know when to seek for help.
You are 1,000% correct on that. Yeah. If I were out in the dating world right now, I'm not, but if I were and I met a guy that said, "Well, I gone to therapy because I've gone through a divorce or because of this or that and the I'm going to be like, "Oh, right? Oh, you're somebody that actually was willing to face yourself and like work on that." I love that. Like that's very appealing to me and probably a lot of women. So,
And I think having that confidence to know that I'm okay with myself to do that, and that it's the there's no stigma anymore. I think that's way gone, and I think it's giving people a lot of courage for having the confidence to go, and it's great. They can learn a lot, and It's a journey. I don't think there's any destination, and it's a journey. So
Yeah, it truly is a lifelong journey. I mean, I myself have trauma, and so again, it's I call it retraining the brain because when you grow up in a traumatic, chaotic environment, you learn how to survive that. And so on the other side of that, it's about learning how to navigate and do things differently. So I'm constantly learning to retrain and handle things differently than how I handled it when I was a child. So lifelong process.
change, right? Adult coping mechanism might be different than childhood coping mechanisms, right? That makes sense. That makes perfect sense. Oh wow. Well, this is good. Do you want to cover any more topics? I thought we kind of take a little bit of time to get to know you, even though we've talked about you a lot, but kind of delve more into your background because I think people need to know Sarah and your journey. You alluded to it, but maybe take us through your journey and as much as you're comfortable, how vulnerable.
Sure. Okay. So I grew up in a single parent home. I never met my father. He's out there somewhere, but he's never reached out or anything. So I don't know who my father is. Yeah, but I do have a mom. And unfortunately, my mom did that not really have the capacity to parent. And therefore, that's where all the trauma came in, was because she herself was struggling with severe mental illness. And unfortunately, the biology of our bodies don't understand that. So pretty much anybody can reproduce, whether they're capable of being a parent or not. So I didn't exactly win the birth lottery here, guys. So, so I grew up in a really hard environment. What's that?
Did you get to know your mom now, or is that something you knew?
So I choose not to have a relationship with her because of her mental illness and who she is. And there's a lot of like manipulative behaviors and things like that. And so one of the things I teach for those of us that have been through trauma is boundaries. Because when you've been through something that's incredibly traumatic and chaotic, when you get older, all we want is peace. And in order to achieve peace and calm, we have to set boundaries, which means anybody that's going to create more chaos, create more trauma, you're out here. I don't associate with folks like that. So the people that are within my inner circle are the people that make me feel safe, comfortable, seen, right. And so teaching the boundaries. So anyway, so I was in foster care from how old was I? 11? 11 all the way up until I was 18 and aged out of the system. I did grab that 21st Century Scholarship Program. I had to sign up for it in middle school. So I heard about it, and I remember looking at all the other kids that were in foster care and watching them go from placement to placement and going back home. And I was like, yeah, I don't want to do that. I want to go to school and I want to make sure that I always, always, always have food on the table. Because I was one of those kids that was going to the churches for food lines, getting the powdered milk. And, we didn't have any money by the end of the month because the food stamps ran out. That was what my life was. And so I saw that and I was like, I want different. I want to be different. And so I signed up for that scholarship in middle school. And you got to promise the state of Indiana that you're going to get a certain grade average, which I did. And so I was able to go to college. And that was how I made it to go into social work and things like that. And of course I had to become a social worker because I was surrounded by social work my whole life.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say you were put in that role as a child inadvertently, as you mentioned earlier, so now it's a chance to really give back in a healthy way.
And that is exactly what I'm here to do, is to provide that care for the folks that need it the most. Absolutely. It's my calling.
And you've done it in a very healthy way, and you've been through a tough journey, and then have you been in, Florida for the whole time since you graduated school? I know you said you went to Indiana, so after.
Almost. I took off. I left in 2005. So I stayed in Indy for about a year. And then in 2005, when I was 24 years old, that's when I took the journey to Florida. Don't regret it for a second. I absolutely love it here. I love it here. So
Did you move on your own down here?
sure did.
Yeah, the courage you had to do that, that is just
Packed the truck up and that was it.
I give you a lot of credit for doing that. That is a terrifying and daunting journey for a lot of people who might just say, "You know what? I'm not gonna do it because I'm too afraid." And that's impressive. Oh my goodness. Woo! Wow. That's awesome. And you left Indiana. Where were you in Indiana? I think I know Indianapolis, obviously, and then
So, okay, so the whole state. I mean, I've got family in the southern part, and then I was living in the central part, which is where Indy is, and then I've got family up in the northeastern part too. So it's funny when people ask that question. They go, "What part of Indiana?" I'm like, "Indiana, all of it."
everywhere. I know it all.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much covered the state.
That's a great, yeah, and so you get a chance to go back there often to see family and friends and stuff. That's great. That's really nice. And then,
I try to avoid the snow, but yeah.
oh yeah, well, yeah, didn't, yeah, that's right. So you rerouted down here, and then you ended up in Tampa to start with. Is that where you first made
No,
roots?
actually started out in Citrus County. So that's up by Crystal River, Inverness, Homosassa. I worked there as a case manager for kids that were involved in the system. And my job was to ensure that the parents were doing their treatment plans so that they could be reunified. So I was literally on the other side of foster care at that point.
You went from one side to the other.
It was an interesting perspective because now I'm learning the other side of it. So I knew what the kid what it felt like as the kid involved. Now here I am, the case manager involved in the court hearings and the home visits and everything else. It was interesting. It was, yeah, I'll say that.
Oh, some of the things you must have seen and heard, and oh my goodness.
Oh, unbelievable. Yeah, unbelievable.
I couldn't even imagine. It's gotta be heart-wrenching to see that, because you wanna reach out and say, "Hey, stop doing that," or "I wanna make you better," and it's, ooh.
Oh, you nailed it. Yeah, you nailed it. There were times where I was literally crying in the office. Yeah, I just there's certain situations that hit a little too close to home for me, and so I eventually moved on to other things, but yeah.
Wow. You moved away and you did this job. I get you, your courage factor is, 10 plus. That's impressive. And then you resettled down in Tampa now. Is that where you are?
Yes, I love it here. I love Tampa. I love it.
Tampa is great. Tampa, it's just such a area.
Always stuff to do. It's great.
And if not, there's always the ocean, right?
Exactly. And there's Orlando, right? An hour and a half away. And oh my
Not
gosh.
so bad over here. Not so bad. I know it's the middle of the state, but it's pretty cool. It's a cool way. That's great. Yeah, and getting to know you through this journey of helping you with your taxes and business, and obviously through our mutual friend there, Sean, and his by gosh, 25 years. I think. Oh, geez, I'm trying to think. I don't want to put a number on it because it'll be really old. It's more than 10 years.
I know.
More than 10 years. I've known of Sean, and then we reconnected. I think we'd gone to school and then reconnected, however you want to say it, maybe about 15 years ago. But it was like, yeah, it's like no time passed at all. Remember we talked about that?
Oh, I know. I really enjoy your guys' friendship. It's fun to watch. You guys really get along well, and it's so great. And you love tennis.
Oh my God. Yeah. I still love tennis, even though I told you the story about the rainy day. Teaching is different than playing, but I remember that was like, I think it's a burnout moment. But it was rain. Funny how rain can create burnout. But anyways, that was a funny. So yeah, so overall, you can do so many things for people. Maybe tell more of ways, if you want, about how you can help people, but maybe even specifically how they can get a hold of you. So, however you want to frame it, that people can get a hold of you.
Well, you mentioned one of them. You mentioned one of them. I am on psychology today. In fact, most licensed people that are in behavioral health are on psychology. Not everybody, but most of us are on there. So that's a great way to find me. I do have my own website. It's talkitthrough.org. I will say the reason it's org is because .com was taken and I didn't want to pay for it. So it's .org.
Is it TALKTHRU? Talk it THRU.
THRU, kind of slang, if you will, talk it through. But I'm like, when I was thinking of coming up with my business name, I was like, well, what is therapy? You're talking it through. That's what you're doing. So it just made sense. Talk it through.
THRU, and it's .org. So I'll make sure those two things are perfectly reiterated. And as far as getting a hold of you, is there a spot on there for a first time appearance, or just make an appointment and let it go?
So there's a contact page on there. So I would say just shoot me a message. It goes straight to me. So if you send me a message in there, like, hey, maybe you see this podcast, and you're like, hey, I want to tell Sarah how great that you're welcome, or how much you hated it, or but you can contact.
Yeah, bad. Keep it at home. I have no time for that. No, take either good or bad.
So, yeah, so that's a great way to do it because, again, you're giving me all that information. I'll be able to email you right back. So you can email, you can call. I actually prefer email because I'm usually in front of a screen seeing patients. So, an email is easier for me to get to, but I will respond to calls as well. So,
Okay. Okay, great. And your number, did you say your number was on the website as well?
yes, it is.
Okay. Website's a place to go to. Then get a hold of you through contact page or phone number. Contact page is probably best. That way you can respond.
Psychology Today is a good one, and then there's several other platforms out there that I'm on. So you can find me out there if you want to just put my name in the search. You'll find me. Yeah.
Okay. And what were the 4 states you're licensed in again?
Okay. So Florida, Indiana, Massachusetts, and New York.
Interesting. Okay. All right. Massachusetts. You got the New England, the New York, the Indian Midwest, and then the South. You got it all covered.
Exactly. Exactly. So mhm. We may expand on that at some point, but I'm enjoying the 4 states I've got right now. So
I was gonna say it's nice. It's so nice to be down. And today, especially of all days, I'm looking outside. It's probably the same for you. The weather is perfect.
it's gorgeous. What is it? 82 degrees, sunny. It's just beautiful.
There it is. I got 83 sunny. There we go. Yeah, I'm looking like, where's my weather thing? Yeah, 83 and sunny. I'm like, it wouldn't be like that if I was back home in Rochester, New York right now. I think it'd be.
This is why we're here. This is why we're here, right? Yeah.
We took that journey into the South area into Florida.
It's funny. By the way, how Florida got on my radar is when I was going to Anderson University for undergrad. I got invited with some of my friends to a spring break trip to the Panhandle, and during that trip, one of my friends drank a little too much, and so I ended up in the ambulance with my friend, and I sat in the front with the EMT, and he was asking me, "Hey, what's your major?" And I was like, "Well, I'm a social work major," and he said, "Well, we need social workers down here." And I was like, "Oh,
Oh my Lord! Hang on, light bulb moment. Hang on. Good weather, and you need the job. That's a win-win.
right." So, that's when I got the thought was when I was in college and he had said that to me. I'm like, "Oh, Florida, okay." So
What a very unusual way to have fallen into that knowledge, though, too.
I know.
And you helped someone out, and that helped you full circle. So you were in the right place.
Yep, exactly. You just never know. But listen, when the universe is talking to you.
Oh, absolutely. Just talking to you there. That's impressive. We've covered so much, and I think people can talk to you to cover more specifics, but I thought I'd kind of release people's idea that stigmatism, there is no stigmatism in therapy. It's a good thing. People are healthy and healing are going to therapy. So please, anybody that thinks they need it, talk to Sarah, have a conversation. I think she'd be a good fit for you, and then she can help you out. But thank you so much for being on today, Sarah.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
All right. Have a good day, and I'll see you on the next episode on Behind Closed Books. Here we go. Bye.
Behind Closed Books podcast requires more than a conversation. It takes action, research, and collective wisdom. If today's episode resonated with you, we'd love to hear your insights. Join the conversation and help us shape the future together. We'll be back with more stories, strategies, and real-world solutions that are making a difference for everyone. In the meantime, be sure to subscribe, rate, write a review, and share it with someone you think would benefit from it too. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode.